Y'all get ready?
Yes, you get ready.
If you want the latest news in the streets, join us and tune in for the tea. Breaking news with integrity. So tell your friends and your family. It's the Lovelyti TV show, bringing you good tea and good vibes. It's the Lovelyti TV show. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
Hey tea sippers, good morning. I hope you guys are doing good today. So there has been some really eerie things going down in Nola recently. For y'all who don't know what Nola is New Orleans, Louisiana. So what I noticed was earlier this month, this video went viral on TikTok of this man. He was trying to bump elbows with another gentleman on the street. And so it started up a conversation about destiny swapping, because he could have easily just bumped the man's elbow himself, but he was inviting the man to bump his elbow, almost like in Sinners, the movie, where the vampires could not go into the home or into the club unless they were invited in. Remember, the Asian lady, she's the one who invited the vampires into the club in Sinners, and then they wreaked havoc.
What y'all doing? Just step aside and let me on in now.
Why you need him to do that? You big and strong enough to push past us?
Well, that wouldn't be too polite now, would it, Miss Annie? Smoke.
Don't talk to him. You talking to me right now. Why you can't just walk your big ass up in here without an invite, huh? Go ahead. Admit to it.
Admit to what?
That you dead.
So this is how I felt when I first watched the video of the man doing the destiny swapping in New Orleans. And when I tell you this went viral, a lot of people were having discussions about this. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys that clip right here, along with some other people discussing it as well. Check this out.
Yeah. Come on. I can't do it. Elbow to elbow. I can't do it.
Come on, boys. Won't you shake a cold sinner's hand?
You already know how I feel about New Orleans, but what's happening there now is a lot scarier than just a building of like ghost nuns. Have you seen the viral video of the guy playing the Shadow Man music because there's a man on Bourbon Street trying to get him to rub elbows with him so that he can tell his fortune to him or whatever? But the guy won't do it because he said the Shadow Man taught him better. Smart dude. What he's trying to do is destiny swap. Apparently there are these people that can sense when someone comes by that has like a light energy, meaning that they know that whatever they've got is something good, whether it's like wealth or the ability to be like a psychic or something like that. And they seek them out and they try to get them to bump elbows so that they can swap their destinies, meaning he gets whatever you got and you end up with him. But why the elbow? Why doesn't he just like touch him on the shoulder or something? Because in voodoo and in like all kinds of like history way back, they believe that the elbow is like a hinge. Your elbow switches directions and changes where things can go, and it changes up easily. It's like a hinge of fate, and a quick bump of that can change their destiny and yours. And it's never a good thing when they ask you to do it. They always want what you have. Effects of these are slow acting. You'll start feeling like things aren't going your way anymore, like everything's bad, everything's out to get you. You might start feeling unwell for no reason. You get a cold you just can't shake. You may lose your job or lose your home. Meanwhile, the guy you bumped elbows with is now on a winning streak. Protect your elbows. And if you think someone did knock your elbow, go home, wash your hands, wash your elbows in salt water. Then light a white candle and say, what's mine is mine, and what's theirs shall return to them.
By now, we've all seen that very viral video of that man in New Orleans trying to bump elbows with the guy to tell his future. Everybody is talking about destiny swapping, which this is a form of trying to destiny swap. But nobody is talking about how the dead walk amongst the living on Bourbon Street, French Quarters, New Orleans. And they look just like us. And sometimes these haints get stuck onto people, like an attachment, like a cancer. And these people still have partially their minds and they want it off. And all it takes is one touch, one transfer of energy, and that spirit will jump on your ass. I don't know how many different ways I can tell you New Orleans is a portal. New Orleans is a portal. New Orleans is a portal, especially in the French Quarters and specifically on Bourbon. It's so bad when I go, keep salt in my pocket. So if I accidentally bump into anybody, if anybody touches me, if I touch something and I get the heebie-jeebies, I throw salt over my shoulder. I walk out of places backwards. Every Goosebump book that you read as a child about werewolves, loogaroos, haint, vampires. Yeah, they all down there in New Orleans to this day. If you know, you know.
The situation in New Orleans about the elbow bump. And it's nothing new. Honestly, it's nothing new. Yes, it was a form of him attempting to destiny swap with the young man. See, the spirit needs permission to destiny swap. It needs permission to attach to you. And that was him asking for permission. Now, I'm glad that man knew better. I'm glad because it wasn't going to end well for him if he did that. New Orleans raised me. I was always taught, do not shake hands. Do not bump fists. Do not let somebody hug you, especially if you are out at night, particularly in the French parts. And no, I'm not making this shit up. Just get you some sea salt, put in a Ziploc bag, and anybody touch you, you wash your hands and you wash that area too. And when you go back to the room, or you go back home, or anywhere you have to walk inside of a building, make sure you turn around and you walk backwards. Because the spirit don't like to face you. That way you keep it from entering with you. This is not story time. This is reality.
The elbow voodoo, why you're not supposed to touch other people's elbows in voodoo rituals or in voodoo itself. There's one specific thing that you have to avoid. It's rubbing elbows with somebody. Crazy. Yeah. So there's this video that went viral on TikTok, and he's trying to convince a stranger that he can tell him his future. All he has to do is rub elbows with him. So the whole purpose of it and the reason it holds so much danger is because if you rub elbows with somebody, they can switch their destiny with you. Yeah, it's called a destiny swap. They say people like that, they can have a sense of when somebody carries a good destiny or they carry certain spiritual power, and they'll target them specifically and they'll go up to them and say, they'll try to trick them to touching elbows. The elbow is like a hinge. Okay. So you can imagine it's like a hinge to your body, right? It can move different ways really quickly and it opens like a door. So when you rub elbows with somebody, you could be trading your destiny with them.
All right, so you guys just saw those videos. So now in various traditions, especially like in African spirituality and voodoo and hoodoo, physical contact can cause a transfer. I've talked about this before on this channel about the transfer of energy. That's why you have to be careful. You know who you allow to come into your personal space. If you do not feel comfortable with that person, if your spirit is not vibing with that person, do not allow them to hug you. Do not allow them to shake your hand, because that is a transfer of energy. And you can take on their energy and they can definitely take yours. And it's also another way to destiny swap. And bumping somebody elbow to elbow is sometimes used as a spiritual tactic to either offload their bad karma or redirect your destiny, your good karma, your good energy, your good opportunities onto them. So you have to be very careful about this, especially in very spiritual places like New Orleans, which are filled with many portals. New Orleans is a very, very spiritual place, and you have to really protect yourself when you go down there and really understand the culture. I know a lot of people, when they go to New Orleans, they put like salt in their pocket in case, people bump into them on purpose. They don't want to be at risk for destiny swapping. Now, if that's not crazy enough, right? There had been a lot of controversy with the Annabelle doll. Now, if you guys don't know who Annabelle is that demon-possessed doll that's housed by the paranormal experts Ed and Lorraine Warren. And they've had so many movies. We watched a few of them on Discord. But the Annabelle was never to leave the museum. Ed and Lorraine wants her at this particular museum, but now they're taking her on tour because supposedly there's supposed to be another Annabelle movie coming out. So they're trying to take the doll on a tour so that way it can start building up buzz for the movie.
One doll holds the key to unleashing hell on Earth.
You thought you knew her story.
But the truth is, Annabelle's evil has only just begun.
But what happened is that they done took this doll, child, down to New Orleans. And when I tell you a bunch of crazy shit has been going on in the past like 72 hours, it is insane. Of all places you could take that doll to, why would you take it to New Orleans? A city that's already filled with ghosts and spirits and portals, and it has a very bloodstained history and a lot of spiritual unrest. Ever since this doll has gotten down to New Orleans, this is just some of the crazy stuff that's happened. The largest plantation in the South caught on fire yesterday. The plantation is called the Nottoway Plantation and is one of the largest plantations in the South. And it caught on fire, and Black TikTok was celebrating. Because if you guys do not know, this particular site is haunted. It was one of the largest plantations, so it had a lot of, generations of enslaved Africans, African Americans, and things like that who went through a lot of pain and suffering. And the family that owns it, they have become mega millionaires based off of the back of black slaves. A lot of people are saying that this is karma for everything that they did to the black folks on the plantation, and that the fact that they brought Annabelle down there, her arrival helped to spark, because they don't really know what caused the fire at this point in time. It is just like a huge fire. Everybody's talking about it on social media, and a lot of people are tying it to Annabelle coming down to New Orleans. So I want you guys to go ahead and check these clips out.
This was the largest antebellum plantation house in the South, owned by one of the richest enslavers in the South. This is the Nottoway Plantation in Louisiana. It was built by enslaved Africans in 1859. It was owned by this guy, John Randolph. Now, John wasn't even from Louisiana. He was from Virginia originally, but he came from a wealthy slave-owning family, and his dad was hired by the federal government, and he moved with him. Now, originally, he wanted to make it into a cotton plantation, the same type of plantation that he was used to in Virginia. But he noticed that the climate in Louisiana was a lot different, so he changed it to a sugar plantation. And because of that, he ended up tripling his family's wealth. And he was a huge financial backer of the Confederacy in Louisiana. When he realized that the Confederacy was losing, he left his wife in Louisiana, took 200 slaves, and went to Texas. Once the Civil War was over, he eventually died in 1883, and his wife eventually sold the plantation for $50,000. That's the equivalent of $1.9 million today. And now he has no legacy at all.
This you can get.
What the hell I take? What the hell he on? What the hell he buried? What the hell he buried?
That part look like porch. The roof is on fire. We don't need no water, let that motherfucker burn, motherfucker, burn.
With me, because there is some things about this resort and 4-star hotel that burned down that nobody is talking about, and my jaw was literally on the floor. It's very clear that it being a museum is not its main focus. It does seem like they've started giving tours again, but this is for weddings and events. They do have a history tab at a drop-down menu. The only thing you're going to find is a list of 16 majestic oak trees that are found on the property. These oak trees are named, and for a brief moment I was like, oh, are they named after enslaved people? Is this like a memorial? No, it's named after the 11 children of the enslaver. As I was combing through trying to find any information on the enslaved people here, this tab for cottages underneath where you can stay caught my eye. Each cottage has 2 individual units with a single covered porch and oversized rocking chairs, and it's like, oh my god, how tasteless to have something like that on the property given the history. No, I don't think these are fresh cottages. I think they repurposed cabins on site with welcoming beds and full amenities. Oh, thank God. Thank God my slave cabin comes with a hairdryer and an iron. Well, there's at least one of these still around. but this is an unmarked photo. There is no information about this photo. In fact, the only time I saw anything that had anything to do with a person of color were these god-awful candelabras. With this burning down, we lost a haunted wedding venue at best, and it seems like a place that was literally like Airbnb-ing slave cabins.
All right, so y'all just saw those clips. Now, what was so crazy, if you go and you watch some of those videos of the plantation burning, you can see spirits. You can see people's spirits walking through the fire, and a lot of people are saying that those are the spirits of the entrapped slaves that took care of the property. Also, they had put the fire out at one point, and then it restarted again. Then they had to rush back out there and put it out again, and by then, it was all destroyed. So it wasn't just like, you know, a one-time fire. It went out and it started up again. So a lot of people are saying this seems to be more of a spiritual situation than anything. So now before the city could even recover, right? So we got the, you know, the destiny swapping. We got Annabelle being sent to the city. We had this plantation catching on fire. Then what happened is that basically 10 inmates escaped from the local jail. And guess what? That local jail is near Bourbon Street. 3 of them have been caught. They were caught on Bourbon Street, but the rest are still missing. And so they're saying that it could be an inside job or an outside job, but it's just insane that all this stuff is happening and the authorities are scrambling to understand how it even happened. It's crazy for one inmate to escape, but for 10 of them to get away is insane. A lot of people are saying that the spiritual veil around the city is getting thinner and thinner, and that those inmates, they had some type of spiritual help to help them escape. It wasn't just something man-made or an inside job. It was something spiritual. So y'all go ahead and check this out.
Are violent criminals, and they escaped.
Authorities say a total of 10 inmates busted out of the Orleans Parish facility in the early hours of Friday, taking advantage of defective locks on multiple jail cells. Stunning photos showing the getaway path, a hole behind the toilet with this taunting message, "Too easy, LOL."
The failure in the jail system should never have happened.
The inmates were on the run for at least 7 hours before jail employees realized they were gone. Officials taking even longer to notify the public.
One of the escaped inmates captured right here in the French Quarter, the busiest and most important tourist hub here in New Orleans. It's only about 2 miles from that jail.
This morning, only 3 of the 10 fugitives have been recaptured. An internal investigation underway at the jail after the sheriff said her own employees may have helped in the stunning jailbreak.
We think this was intentional. There is much more than meets the eye.
And Robin, the governor wants a full state audit of this facility. In the meantime, authorities are trying to incentivize more public help. They're boosting the bounty on each of those inmates' heads to $20,000 each.
Lorraine Warren told you all not to move the Annabelle doll. She said, don't move her. Leave her where she is. But it's 2025. We like to fuck around and find out. So what do? We take Annabelle on a world tour. Okay, we're just moving her all over the place. They sent her to New Orleans. The day they take the doll there, the day Annabelle arrived in New Orleans, an historical plantation burns to the ground. Burns to the ground. They literally had the fire out at one point and it reignited itself. If that's not the ancestors speaking their truth. Anyway, then 10 or 11 convicts escape a prison. Okay? There are 10 convicts, some convicted of unaliving people on the loose in New Orleans. Actually, I think they've caught 2 of them now, so 8. And they're saying that they escaped because they were helped by someone within the prison staff. So Annabelle gets there, Plantation burns down, and the prison staff is helping unalivers out of the prison. Leave the doll alone.
Y'all don't find it more than a coincidence that when they finally decide to bring this evil, demonic, ill-possessing, just Santana, I don't even know what the hell, y'all decided to bring evil, literally pure evil to Louisiana, that in the same week 10 murderers escape from jail, prison, and a plantation house gets burnt to the ground. Plantation house that has been there since 1850s, y'all. It ain't no way that this is just a coincidence. It's no way. I know this is going to sound crazy because a lot of people don't believe in the demonic, spiritual, tool realm world
They don't believe in that. But if this ain't clear proof, then I don't know what it is.
The real Annabelle doll is on tour and people are not going for it. Now let's talk about it. Now I'm sure we are all familiar with Annabelle from the Conjuring franchise, and yes, she is a real life doll, and in real life she is a Raggedy Ann doll, not a porcelain doll. She's been in Ed and Lorraine Warren's occult museum for years in this glass contained box that was specifically built to keep her in there forever. The box is literally prayed over every week. It is covered in scriptures, like they wanted this doll to be contained. But since Ed and Lorraine Warren aren't here with us anymore, they thought it would be fun to take her on a world tour to basically different haunted locations across the states. Even after Ed and Lorraine has stated several times to never move this doll. One of her first stops was at this Virginia State Penitentiary that is known to be very haunted. And this was their first time bringing haunted artifacts in the Virginia State Penitentiary. It's already alleged to have a lot of paranormal activity going on. So you just gonna bring more paranormal stuff to a paranormal place? I don't get it. Then she visited New Orleans. Now all this stuff going on. Some prisoners done broke out. The Nottoway Plantation done burnt down. I'm telling y'all, it's Annabelle. She doing it. And now they just recently slowly transported her to San Antonio, Texas. Some type of psychic festival. And this is like the farthest and like longest she's ever been. Like she's traveled in over a decade. And I know some people are like, Ed and Lorraine used to travel with her. Yeah, they were expert demonologists. They would take her to some places just to show the importance of like, that this stuff is real. And to warn people of the dangers of the occult and paranormal world. But they just try to make a quick buck because there's actually people going to visit this. Now, when y'all go home and a bunch of weird stuff start happening, that's going to be y'all fault. But yeah, like they're taking her to like different haunted motels and stuff like that. And the people in the area are not happy. Like, did y'all not watch the movie? Like she could make things in the area go bad.
All right, so y'all just saw those clips. So once again, New Orleans is definitely no stranger to the supernatural. You know, we've heard about people like Marie Laveau. We've seen hell, when I was in New Orleans, I went on the Haunted Cemetery tour. Very, very eerie. There's a lot of trauma that's trapped in the soil of New Orleans. A lot of blood, a lot of things went on. And it's a mixture of different backgrounds and ethnicities. You know, you had the black slaves, you had the white slave owners, then you had the biracials, the Creoles, the multiracials, the Cajuns. So Louisiana is just one big melting pot of not only cultures, but also religion. You know, you have the Catholics, the Christians, then you have the people who practice African spirituality. You have the hoodoo practitioners, you have the voodoo practitioners, Santeria, like everything's in New Orleans. So, you know, I don't know. I'm thinking a lot of this stuff is just not by coincidence. It's like everything that's been going on as of late that I've been keeping up with has been tied to New Orleans. So what if these incidences aren't really isolated? You know, what if this is some type of spiritual warfare cloaked in chaos? You got folks trying to swap destinies by hitting each other's elbows. Then all of a sudden a cursed doll arrives, the plantation burns, and then 10, not one, but 10, I repeat, 10 inmates escape from the jail, and they don't know for hours. It's almost like the guards were blinded and couldn't tell that the inmates had been gone for as long as they were. So I leave the question up to you, tea sippers. Do you feel like this is a symbol for something? Or do you feel like this is just superstition? Or is it a warning of what's to come? Have you been sensing strange energy lately? Do you feel like there's a lot of strange things currently going on in New Orleans? So let's go ahead and get the discussion popping. I look forward to reading y'all's comments down below. Please hit the video with a like. Feel free to share the video. And most importantly, make sure you still subscribe to the channel. And I'll talk to y'all later. Deuces.
If you want the latest news in the streets, join us and tune in for the tea. Breaking news with integrity. So tell your friends and your family. It's the Lovelyti TV show, bringing you good tea and good vibes. It's the Lovelyti TV show. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.